A couple days ago, I finally found a way to deal with my favorite TV viewers. It may not be perfect. It may be unethical to fight fire with fire, but some time ago, while surfing the internet, I came across an article by Sasha Kirchmeier, a steel worker from Kazakhstan. The not-so-funny story was about a guy whose neighbors kept pestering him with loud music. It took place at a regular Soviet steel mill. Sasha lived in the residence hall, a wooden tent house. His melomaniac neighbors liked playing pop music, vinyls at night. Therefore, they were keeping the exhausted from working at the mill, Sasha from sleeping. Am I reading that wrong? I don't know. One day at lunch, one of his co-workers asked him why he looks like a raccoon. Like asleep? So he told him, "Dang music." His co-worker replied with a solution. "So dance. Why let the music go to waste?" The 250-pound Sasha got embarrassed and didn't say anything. But the next day, he looked better, and after some time, even started to look great. When his co-workers asked him about it, he shyly told them that he really did dance, and heard the neighbor's china ringing. He got so into it that jumped off the table. The sound of vinyl scratching came from behind the wall, and then silence. They never turned on the music again. "It's almost too bad. I liked dancing," admitted Sasha. "No, I didn't start dancing. I didn't even jump off the table. I'm twice lighter than Sasha, the steel worker, anyway. I just stomped on the floor and turned on music when that didn't work. Loud enough to drown out the screams and gunshots. This time I turned on Ravel, his cheesy but nonetheless brilliant bolero. I waited for the neighbors to start banging on the battery and turned the volume down. There, temporary truce. The mean granny turned it down too, and I had some time to prepare for my next tutoring lesson. The doorbell had other plans. A police officer was standing at my door, his face bored and wrinkly like his uniform. "Good day, Ivanov. Gennady Petrovich, the district police officer. Are you Naumov Ivan?" "I am." "Come in. Don't bother taking your shoes off." Not that he was going to. Gennady Petrovich didn't even take the trouble to wipe the mud off his shoes. Oh, well then. He peeked into both rooms, leaving muddy footsteps, said, "I see," and went to the kitchen. There, he, homelike, sat on a stool and opened his folder. "I have a complaint from your neighbor, Citizen Vera." Suddenly, he paused and listened. For a second moment, the expression of tiredness and indifference left his face. "What's that noise?" "Gravel. Bolero." Gennady Petrovich looked at me like I'd spit him in the face. He even shook his head. Probably meant something like, "See what freaks I have to deal with." "According to the complaint, you keep disturbing your neighbor's sleep by tying a weight to a rope. What? Lowering it and using the latter to knock on the window below you. That's insane." The officer looked up from his papers. "Why?" For a second, his intonation made me think that he could be somewhat concerned by the situation. But his facial expression showed otherwise. His eyes were frankly saying, "I'm so sick of this." I spent the next 30 minutes dragging him about my apartment and making him look for the weight. I took him out to the balcony, pointed at the old lady's windows, and assured him that such thin glass won't live through being hit with an iron weight. I asked him to listen to the sounds coming from downstairs, but as luck would have it, the neighbors were dead silent. Judging by the look of indifference on the officer's face, he didn't believe me. Yeah, that figures, huh? After his phrase about how the old woman wouldn't lie and you're even trying to make it her fault, my teeth started grinding. Literally. Just very quietly so Gennady Petrovich wouldn't hear. I had a feeling this, by far, wasn't his last visit. I was right. Complaints kept being filed against me, one after the other. The unsuccessful and illogical weight was now some abstract, heavy item. I'm going to save. The most important thing was that this transformation satisfied the district police officer. He still saw me as a schizophrenic who's terrorizing an old woman by knocking on her window. So what if I was using something else? While I think of it, what could I be using? Maybe I should pour some salt in a sock and see how that would sound? No, that'd be crazy. Well, at least it will justify the complaints. Plus, the granny will see what it's like in my shoes for a change. But I had no idea what to do about Valentine. That dim-wit started calling my relatives and threatening to hire some men to break my legs. It was even funny at first. I could imagine those menacing assassins, unsober and unshaven. There they are, cornering me in their alley, mumbling something in Valentine's voice and trying to hit my legs with pieces of pipes. But my relatives quickly got tired of his phone calls. I gave them my voice recorder, but pensioners are never good with electronics, even if there are only 3 buttons. I ended up with the recording of a 2-hour discussion of the phone call that already happened. The conversation with Valentine wasn't recorded for some reason. I couldn't spend days sitting at their house with the voice recorder. But isn't there anything that can be done? Even if you were eaten there... What? Even if you were eaten, there are at least 2 ways out. Beaten? I don't know. I chuckled, imagining one of the ways. The unpleasant one. Looks like that's where I'm stuck. On the recording, my relatives finished discussing drunk Valentine and made the assumption that he wouldn't attack someone for no reason. Which means Vanya, that's me, pissed him off somehow. You too, Brutus. Correction, you too, Brutuses. I barely stopped my teeth from grinding. Meanwhile, my loving relatives decided that I was under the influence of my woman and started discussing what was wrong with my wife, whom they've never met. I turned off the voice recorder and almost didn't notice raising my arm to smash it against the wall. I've never seen myself be so impulsive. Dang crazy neighbors. Dang Moscow. Dang country. Why do people here trust alcoholic, troublemaking neighbors more than me, a non-smoking, sober athlete and an educated, cultured teacher? Maybe that's the problem. They feel closer to the alcoholic neighbor. They see him as one of them. So what if we're related? I'm still a well-dressed and well-spoken, dang highbrow to them. Step back. Get over it. Love the TV of thy neighbor. Drop your students and go work as a loader at the nearest grocery store. Start drinking and fighting. Become one of them. Don't stand out. Then they will accept you and stop hating and hounding. I almost thought that voice was real. I even glanced at the voice recorder. Off. But the voice didn't go anywhere. Oh. It's the drunk neighbor arguing in his kitchen below. I cursed and went to my room. That's even worse than the TV. Turns out that being alone is hard. Feeling that nobody in the huge country cares about you. Even worse, everyone is against you. Neighbors, relatives, the police. Maybe I got the wrong country. Where are you, my great compatriots? Where is that country? Where are those people? The kindest, most educated, and ethical people in the world. Who replaced you and why? Why is it when a person falls on the street from a heart attack or gets ran over by a car, everyone takes out their phones and starts filming his agony? To show off on social networks, look, my day was cooler. When did people stop opening the doors for ladies and old people? And stopped, something, seats and transport? I don't know. Why do young people talk about blood, crap, and fornication instead of scientific advances? Who made them think that that's what's important in life? Television! I almost laughed out loud when a scream followed by gunshots came from downstairs. We are intentionally being dumbed down and convinced that it's cool to be a criminal, great to be an idiot, and normal to be a reprobate. Go on, live it up. No one will stop you from degrading, and no one will force you. You will do it all on your own. You will turn into a stupid, aggressive animal trying to steal your fellow being's peace while fighting him in the warm mud. Meanwhile, those you will never rise against will clip and milk you. It says it's a Russian horror story. Is it not actually a horror story and just like one of those surreal? I can't think of the word. Like, oh my gosh, this is what society is doing to us. Or something. All because you're too busy to look up from your delicious acorns and truffles, or whatever mushrooms grow in manure, and there will be nothing left to think with. Ugh. Darn extremist. Why am I even thinking about this? Dang television. It's not letting me be It's not letting me be rational. And infuses my soul with hate. Why does it affect everyone else differently? Could I be not that far from the truth? Screw it. I need music. Now. I want to forget about this sewer I ended up in at least for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna say, I barely heard the doorbell. But the banging on the door was more distinct. I think I know who the cat dragged in. Of course, the drunk swearing coming from the staircase was in a voice I already heard in my kitchen. It looks like Valentine, just like the district police officer, was enraged by classical music, which awoke this saliva-spewing demon. I wonder when this took place, because this would be it would actually be really interesting, you know? When was it? I even felt like an exorcist or a warlock who summoned an evil spirit to our world. My first urge was to open the door and punch that sleazebag in the face, which made me somewhat ashamed of myself, so I paused. I stared at him through the Judas hole for a while until it hit me that this is a gift of fate. I quickly called the police and told them that the drunk neighbor is trying to break into my apartment. Now all I have to do is have a little patience, and this gentleman will be taken to the precinct. This incident will prove me right, too. The police were taking their time. The neighbor's voice was starting to get hoarsened. He even had enough time to dig in the fuse box, shut off all electricity in my apartment, run home, and return with a knife. What's he gonna do with that? Stab my metal door? Stupid Jedi. Droidics would teach you a lesson. Where are they, by the way? I called them again just in case and warned them that our madman was carrying a cold weapon now. Told them to be careful. Looks like I was wasting my time provoking him by telling him to go home and watch TV. Now he was trying to use the knife to pick my lock. Fortune may favor fools, but if he wants to pick that lock, he has to be impossibly stupid. He'll jam my lock, and I'll have to have the door cut out. I need that like I need a hole in the head. I shot a little video of me trying to shoo away that idiot, warning him that I'll use pepper spray. After which I really did open the door to let out a squirt of pepper spray. Right into his drunk mustache face. Why not? I'd have to be dumber than he is to fight a drunk madman with a knife. I called the police again and warned them about the gas attack on my floor. Told them to take him at his place and that I will mail them the video and my complaint. I was hoping that they would keep him in the slammer for at least a day, but they set him free surprisingly quickly. I didn't even have time to relax. On the following day, the district police officer came with a new complaint. Against me. Gennady Petrovich had a very judgmental look in his eye, even though his eyes still had much more boredom and indifference. Today, I was hiding from the neighbor's TV in the kitchen as usual. I was so full of tea, I burbled when I walked. Not to mention that I'll start crapping cookies soon. The lesson plan wasn't going well. My head, tired from lack of sleep, refused to work. The laws of physics kept being replaced by Murphy's Law. I didn't write that. My hand kept drawing the ill-fated last name completely on its own. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Looks like about right. I didn't even notice myself write down a few formulas from the theory of probability and start looking for proof of Murphy's Law. And even commenting out loud, they're driving me insane. I stopped speaking and heard someone talking. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded threatening. I turned my head and found where it was coming from. The vent. The grill came off easily. It was much harder to clear the dust, dirt, and cobwebs out of the venting passage. Very old cobwebs, maybe even from Stalin times. Edward Radzinski's host of a show about history, squeaky, dramatic tenor popped into my head. Even spiders were affected by Stalinist purges. They were doomed to decades of wretched existence in torture chambers and gloomy labyrinths of draft ventilation. I giggled and started listening. I thought I heard someone say my name and looked behind me to find a stool. My eye caught the voice recorder, which stayed forgotten since the ridiculous phone calls of relatives saga. Why not? I found an old stocking in the pantry. Well, this might be fate. I stuck the voice recorder inside it and tied the top with a string, tapping in the best traditions of creative TV shows. I placed the improvised microphone into the vent and lowered it down. I tied my end of the string to the battery and started to wait.